Welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine, the program that keeps you informed, engaged, and connected to what's happening across our island. From features that educate and empower to stories that highlight the heart of our people, we've got another meaningful show lined up for you today. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for making us part of your day. Let's get started.
The Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin will be conducting the 2025 Jamaica Survey of Living Conditions JSLC starting August 2025. For over 30 years, PIOJ analysis of JSLC data has helped to shape national policy, including on education, healthcare, and social support. When the JSLC team visits your home, participate. Your voice helps guide real solutions. For more information, visit statinja.gov.jm or WhatsApp Statin at 876-569-1083.
Good day, I'm Twyla Whelan and this is your JS News for Thursday, October 23, 2025. The island is now under a tropical storm warning and hurricane watch as Melissa slowly drifts across the central Caribbean Sea. This means tropical storm conditions pose a possible threat to Jamaica within 36 hours and hurricane conditions are likely to pose a threat within 48 hours. Tropical storm Melissa is moving very slowly toward the west near 6 kilometers per hour, with maximum sustained winds near 85 kilometers per hour. Little change in strength is forecast during the next day or so, but the storm could become a hurricane in a couple of days. As the system nears Jamaica, the Met Service says periods of moderate to heavy rainfall, along with strong gusty winds, possibly reaching tropical storm strength, is expected to gradually develop late today, through Friday and into the weekend. This will initially affect eastern and southern parishes before gradually spreading across the remainder of the island. All small craft operators, including fishers from the Keys and Banks, should by now be in port and are urged to complete their necessary safety precautions without delay. In light of the updated forecast for Tropical Storm Melissa, face-to-face classes across the country have been suspended. The Ministry of Education gave the directive in a bulletin issued late Wednesday, explaining that the decision was made to prioritize the safety of students and staff. Schools were asked to switch to online learning today and to activate their education in emergency plans. Administrators are also urged to keep parents informed and make arrangements for students' safety. Schools designated as shelters are reminded to coordinate with shelter managers and secure critical resources in case of worsening weather. The government has activated a $200 million national drain cleaning program spanning parishes from eastern Jamaica to St. Elizabeth as part of its disaster preparedness response to the potential impact of Tropical Storm Melissa. Minister with responsibility for works Robert Morgan says the initiative forms part of the government's pre-impact mitigation strategy to reduce flooding and safeguard lives and property. The intervention is being coordinated through the National Works Agency NWA and will focus on the cleaning of major and secondary drains, culverts and gullies in flood-prone communities. The drain cleaning activities began earlier this week and will continue across several constituencies in Portland, St. Thomas, St. Mary, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester and St. Elizabeth, where the heaviest rainfall and wind impact are projected. Meanwhile, the National Works Agency NWA undertook desilting works along the Sandy Gully in Kingston on Wednesday in preparation for the passage of the tropical storm. Sandy Gully has become heavily silted with debris carried from multiple communities served by its tributaries, and the works were also undertaken to safeguard the bridge, which has been threatened by this accumulation of debris. Excavators and trucks were deployed to remove dirt and debris during a site visit on Wednesday by Minister with responsibility for works, Robert Morgan. He acknowledged that the intervention represented a temporary solution.
It will not solve the problem that faces the gully. That problem will be solved by the major capital project that is going through the process now. We're going to be doing some remedial work shortly outside of the major capital project that is to come to look at the most critical areas that are under threat. But right now, our main focus is to be prepared for what could be a very damaging storm. and to protect life and property by protecting this bridge, which is spanning the major artery heading into Kingston.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining has moved into high gear as it activates its national disaster preparedness protocols in anticipation of the approaching weather system. Minister Floyd Green says the emergency response teams have been mobilized to safeguard the nation's farmers and fishers and to minimize potential losses in the agriculture and fisheries sectors.
We've activated our Disaster Risk Management Committee to coordinate a swift and organized response with the impending tropical storm Melissa. Our technical teams are on the ground, ensuring that our farmers and fishers have the necessary support to prepare and protect their livelihoods.
Rural Agricultural Development Authority (RADA) teams are providing farmers with support in securing their crops, livestock and infrastructure, including on-the-spot guidance. Fisheries officers from the National Fisheries Authority have been dispatched to fishing beaches, especially along the south coast, to ensure vessels are secured, evacuation plans are in place, and fishers are advised on safety protocols. Farmers and fishers are being urged to take every precaution to protect life and property.
We're asking all our stakeholders to act swiftly and responsibly. The ministry stands ready to support and will continue to monitor the situation.
Stakeholders can access real-time updates and advisories on the Ministry, RADA and NFA Instagram pages. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Tourism's Emergency Operations Center has been activated at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. Portfolio Minister Edmund Bartlett says this is to ensure continued coordination between key agencies and industry partners to safeguard the sector. At the same time, he is urging all tourism stakeholders, industry partners and visitors across the island to take every necessary precaution as Tropical Storm Melissa continues its slow approach toward Jamaica. He says the ministry is working closely with ODPEM, the Meteorological Service and other relevant agencies to ensure the sector's preparedness and safety. Pointing out that resilience has long been at the heart of Jamaica's tourism success, Minister Bartlett is urging calm while remaining vigilant. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security is also reporting that all its readiness protocols across the various parish offices have been fully activated. Portfolio Minister Pernell Charles Jr. says this involves providing support for shelter operations and ensuring that resources are on hand to undertake any post-disaster household assessments that may be required.
We have also ensured that our communication groups have been activated. It is important for us to be able to stay in touch, and we learned a lot of lessons in the Rebuild Jamaica effort during burial. Communication was one of our greatest challenges, and so we are continuing discussions around communication, and we have heard from and are in touch with Starlink and other providers to assist us if necessary.
He says the ministry has also reached out to its partners, and the line of credit entities have been notified by parish offices to ensure that food can be pre-positioned as required.
I know that St. Mary and the St. Thomas teams, as well as Portland, have already started to collect food packages and relief supplies, including bedding, tarpaulins, and toiletries.
The ministry's warehouse is also engaged in food package preparation and general securing of relief supplies. Minister Charles Jr. adds that the vulnerable groups, including PATH beneficiaries, senior citizens and persons with disabilities, are being verified so they can be checked on through social workers as necessary. Meanwhile, the island's main disaster response agency, ODPEM, has activated all systems and personnel to respond to the tropical storm. Director General of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, Richard Thompson, explains that ODPEM has actually been monitoring the system since October 16 and making appropriate arrangements.
To date, we have carried out a number of activities in terms of our general preparation. One of the main things that we have done when we are facing anything of this nature is to immediately put our parish and national disaster mechanism on standby in preparation for any eventuality. So the parish disaster coordinators, we have placed those on standby from very early, from over the weekend.
A critical part of ODPEM's activation process is to ensure adequate disaster communication in times of emergency. And Mr. Thompson says the agency has been going through its radio protocols with the National Emergency Response Team. Earlier today, State Minister of Local Government and Community Development Delroy Williams, acting on behalf of Minister Desmond McKenzie, who is overseas, visited the homeless shelter in downtown Kingston to check its state of readiness. ODPEM has said all shelters across the island have been activated and are on standby if the need becomes necessary. Critical utility provider, the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, is preparing to activate its emergency operations to facilitate a coordinated response in the event of damage to the power delivery infrastructure. JPS says it will be drawing on its partnerships with overseas contractors for mutual aid response, and the first group of overseas line workers from St. Vincent was scheduled to arrive yesterday. Meanwhile, the company is encouraging customers to take the necessary precautions to protect themselves and their property. Customers are advised to have their service wires checked to ensure they are properly secured and free from damage to prevent serious safety hazards during the storm. They are also being reminded to know where their circuit breaker is located in case it becomes necessary to turn off the power supply on their premises. Customers should also make sure that backup generators are operational and gassed. Persons with solar installations are encouraged to ensure their battery energy storage systems are charged and that panels are secured. Importantly, JPS is appealing to customers to make sure that their solar installations and generators are put on settings that prevent a backfeed onto the JPS grid. This is an issue that can be hazardous to members of the public and JPS crew working on power lines. The power company says that in the event of a loss of power supply, every effort will be made to restore electricity safely and within the shortest possible time. Outages, downed lines, and other electricity-related issues can be reported through the My JPS mobile app. And finally, Jamaicans are being urged to prepare as the country braces for the impact of Tropical Storm Melissa. Minister with responsibility for weather services, Matthew Samuda, says it's important for persons to heed the various warnings and take all necessary steps to protect life and property, but do not panic. He assures that the government is coordinating the national response and will keep citizens regularly updated.
This will require an all-of-government response, but we want to assure citizens that they will get timely updates from the Met Service. They will benefit from our bolstered capacity. We're now using our own Doppler radar, whereas before we had to depend almost solely on external sources, on external support. And we are very clear that we have had to mobilize our other agencies to ensure that they provide particular support through their early warning systems.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Twyla Whelan. Thanks for watching.
Hurricanes can be dangerous, catastrophic events, but we can lessen the damage if we are prepared. Keep up to date with the latest information from reliable sources such as the Meteorological Service and ODPEM. The power will probably go with the internet following, so a good old battery-operated radio is a must-have. Stock up on non-perishable food items and emergency items such as flashlights and extra batteries. Secure important documents. Have a pre-packed emergency bag with safety gear such as raincoats and water boots. Ensure windows are protected and roofing is secured. Have updated information on emergency shelters near you in case you need to evacuate during the storm. Preparation will lessen the devastation when dealing with a hurricane. Be prepared.
On Finance Matters this week, we look at the operations of the Jamaica Deposit Insurance Corporation, JDIC. Created by government, the agency's primary function is to manage a deposit insurance scheme to protect depositors from loss up to a specified limit. With the details is Charlene Hendricks, Public Relations Officer.
Have you ever wondered what happens to your money if a bank or financial institution fails? How secure are your savings in the bank? And what can you do to ensure it is protected? The Jamaica Deposit Insurance Corporation, JDIC, was created for that reason. to protect depositors like you and me. Hi, I'm Suzelle Ray and welcome to Finance Matters. On today's episode, we will discuss the role and functions of the JDIC as well as their upcoming public education initiative. With me to share all she knows is Charlene Hendricks, Public Relations Officer at JDIC. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow the Ministry of Finance on Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Threads to see all the episodes and highlights. Ms. Hendricks, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Firstly, tell us in more detail the role and function of the JDIC.
So the Jamaica Deposit Insurance Corporation was established for the protection of depositors up to $1.2 million in commercial banks, merchant banks, and building societies. And that protection is per depositor, per institution. So we were established under the Deposit Insurance Act of 1998, and we manage the deposit insurance scheme, which allows us to levy an annual premium on our member institutions, that is our commercial banks, merchant banks, and building societies. And from those premiums, it goes into what we call the Deposit Insurance Fund. And it is from this fund that in the event that a bank fails, depositors are reimbursed their monies up to $1.2 million.
Interesting. So you're telling me that once your financial institution is a member of the deposit insurance scheme, they are covered?
Yes. So by law, deposit-taking institutions that are governed or regulated by the Bank of Jamaica, they are required to be members of the deposit insurance scheme to depositors up to the coverage limit of $1.2 million.
How can depositors know if their financial institution is a member of the deposit insurance scheme?
Right. So we're talking about commercial banks, merchant banks, and building societies. And typically, if you go into your branch, there is a certificate of deposit that is supposed to be prominently displayed. You'll notice it if you spend some time in the branches. And also, you can go to our website, jdic.org. You can go to our policyholders tab to see I think it's 11 institutions, 11 member institutions that are currently covered under the deposit insurance scheme.
Okay, so the JDIC will be launching a public education initiative to inform Jamaicans about the work that you do and also the deposit insurance scheme. Can you tell us about this upcoming initiative?
Right, so at the JDIC, we have an ongoing public education and awareness program. And it is strategic for us. It's how we engage with the public. I know everybody's familiar with the jingle, right?
Yes.
But we want people to understand what is deposit insurance and how it benefits them. So our public education program does all of that. Now, the expo that we're having in October, the JDIC in the Street Expo, we had the first one last year on October 31st. It's in commemoration of World Savings Day, observed on October 31st each year. And we were on the lawns of the VM Group in New Kingston. And so this year we're having it again. It was a success last year. And we'll be on the lawns of the VM Group in New Kingston. We've invited our member institutions, we've invited our financial system stakeholders, as well as key government service-centered agencies to come and meet with the public, engage with them, talk with them about the importance of saving. We will be there talking with them about deposit insurance. And we're inviting everybody, if you're in New Kingston on it's a Friday, come on through and be a part of the experience.
Are there any services available that will be taking place on the day? What can Jamaicans expect at this expo?
Right, sure. So we have several government entities that will be coming through. The Ministry of Finance is one of them. But of course, we also have the Tax Administration of Jamaica. They have their new e-service for registration. Persons can come through and ask questions. If they've been having any challenges, they'll be offering that service there. Persons can come and engage with the National Housing Trust. And we have other agencies that will be there that persons will be able to engage with and learn about their services. We have other initiatives as well under our public education and awareness. So we have public forums, but we also have initiatives where we go into schools and we engage with schools, we engage with students about deposit insurance and primarily about financial literacy. We want them to be able to understand the importance of understanding the financial system and having good money management. So for example, we launched our financial education book, which is targeting students. Well, it's really children aged 8 to 12. It's our Justin, Justina, and the Money Master. I think it's been a hit among children. We get a lot of feedback about it, and it's pretty much in a comic strip type storytelling, going into the history of money and the importance of saving, as well as how money developed, how we have banks, so that they have an understanding about the financial system and how it works.
Thank you, Ms. Hendricks. And finally, before we go, can you share with our viewers where we can get more information about the services offered by JDIC?
Sure. So we're on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram and X at JDIC Jam. You can also follow our YouTube channel, that would be Jamaica Deposit, as well as visit our website, www.jdic.org.
Thank you so much for coming on our program and telling us about JDIC and the importance of a deposit insurance scheme.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us on this episode of Finance Matters. Remember to follow us on social media at MOF Jamaica and tune in next week as we continue to demystify the economic and fiscal policies and initiatives implemented by the government to empower Jamaicans as we chart a path to Jamaica's economic prosperity.
We should all be taking the necessary steps to protect our lives and property at this time. And by all, I also mean those who feed us, or farmers. Melissa approaches, but there's still time to take action. So we revisit a previous discussion with Plant Health and Food Safety Officer at RADA, Andrea Legg. She shares some strategies and tools farmers can use to protect their crops, secure their livelihoods, and stay one step ahead of the hurricane season.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the show that gives you information on the latest topics. I'm Theodore Henry. Today we're talking about something that every farmer needs to prepare for: hurricanes. When severe weather hits, it's not just your houses that are at risk, your crops, your livelihood, your livestock, everything. Those are at risk too. To walk us through the essential steps to get ready, we're joined by Andrea Legg, Plant Health and Food Safety Officer at the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, otherwise known as RADA. Lady Legg, hello.
Hello.
Let's jump into getting some facts. Why is it, this might be a bit of an obvious question, but help me out here. Why is it that it is crucial for farmers to prepare for the hurricane season?
All right. Hurricane preparedness include all those activities, measures that the farmer employ to proactive employment of these activities to ensure that they reduce or prevent any damage that a hurricane can cause, as well as to ensure that the recovery process, if they sustain any kind of damage, they can recover faster. So it is very important that they implement these activities to reduce the loss in terms of their investment in crops, whether it is infrastructure or overall livelihood.
Got it. I like that word you use, proactive. So that means that the right time to start preparing isn't, there's a hurricane coming.
Exactly. It's before, way before.
Right. But help me out here. What sort of proactive steps can a farmer take in preparing for his crops, her crops?
Okay. It depends on the stage at which the farmer is, whether we're in the production cycle, whether he has not yet started the production or he's along the cropping cycle.
Right.
So if he's, the crop is mature, the first thing you want to do is to harvest all the mature crops, ripe or unripe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And put in storage.
Yeah.
Another thing, they want to cut back the trees to minimize damage from the wind. They want to ensure that they have proper drainage, especially in areas where it is flood prone.
Right.
Right. And secure tools and equipment, irrigation equipment is important to secure those indoor.
Got it. So you mentioned mature crops. What about the immature ones?
Right. Yeah. So farmers may have seedlings, they may have young crops that are not yet ready to be harvested. So they need to, if it's seedlings that they can store indoors, or if they are establishing those seedlings, they need to ensure that they do so at the proper spacing, plant densities, so that immediately after a hurricane, or severe weather event, then the field is penetrated by sunlight, air can circulate, reduce the humidity around the plants, and humidity is necessary for disease development. So you want to reduce that kind of environment as quick as possible, so that you increase the chances of you getting the right yield and getting the optimum from your crop.
And you had mentioned something, reducing the recovery time. So that this helps as well.
Yes.
But I have to ask, so we're talking about the crops. You mentioned equipment as well. But the farmland itself, like the soil, is there any protection that needs to happen there?
Yes, definitely. Because when depending on where you are, if you're operating on a slope, your production system has to be aligned like that. Say if you have to plant across the contour, not along it, because you want to.
I'm trying to imagine it. Yeah.
Yes. So you have to put in you can put in live barriers, artificial ones, so that you reduce the rate of runoff. And you know that runoff, water going down the hill will more easily detach soil particles and lead to loss. So you want to implement those activities to reduce soil erosion.
Got it. Let's talk greenhouses. People who have one greenhouse, many greenhouses, what do they do?
Okay, interesting. Yes, they can, what they should do is really to cut any tree that may be in close proximity to the greenhouses. In terms of the materials, because you see how the planning comes in, where they employ whatever they employ in terms of the construction of the greenhouses. It's better to use metal galvanized materials that with a locking profile that can easily assist easy removal of the plastic and the mesh. Approaching, when a hurricane is approaching, they can lower the crops from the trellis system, and cover it with plastic that they would have removed from the roof, and that way you kind of offer some protection to the crop itself.
Kind of lower down to the ground, so the wind has Right.
So removing the plastic and the mesh, it allows the wind to pass through, so it doesn't damage the structure itself.
Okay. You mentioned galvanized metal. That's what you said,
yes.
As opposed to like PVC
wood.
Pipe or wood.
Right.
Wood.
So those are not as durable and can withstand the elements.
You've seen this happen out in the field, people with pipe and wood, and they're like, this is what I have, and it just...
and the takedown time is much more complicated and labor intensive.
Got it.
So you want to increase the efficiency in all of these areas, so it better helps you in your preparedness.
And I believe it makes sense to underline here that we have hurricane season every year. So you might as well.
Exactly. You might as well.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Do join us again tomorrow when we'll bring another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website at jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via X at JIS News. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.